An end to the conflict. Craig Boswell,
Trump says 20-year nuclear program suspension by Iran would be enough. U.S. President Donald Trump has said he would accept a 20-year suspension by Iran of its nuclear program, in what appears to be confirmation of a shift in position away from a demand for a total end to it. Trump said it had to be a real 20 years. Previously, he has called on Iran to permanently cease enriching uranium, a stage in making a weapon, and to be prevented from ever acquiring nuclear weapons.
Part of the trade puzzle.
In other words, it's got to be Presidents Trump and Xi. Beijing has said.
But he also said his patience with Iran was running out, with no sign of a breakthrough in talks. Israeli and U.S. forces began massive airstrikes on Iran on the 28th of February. A ceasefire in place since last month meant to facilitate talks has been largely observed, despite some exchanges of fire. Pakistan has been playing the role of mediator. However, both sides appear to be far apart, having rejected each other's most recent proposals to end the war.
An end to the conflict. Craig Boswell,
which is approximately 500.
Iranian media said Tehran's proposal had included an immediate end to the war on all fronts, an apparent reference to Israeli attacks against its Shia ally Hezbollah in Lebanon, a halt to the U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports, and guarantees of no further attacks on Iran. Speaking to reporters on Air Force One after talks in Beijing with Chinese President Xi Jinping, Trump said the two sides had agreed Tehran could not be allowed to have a nuclear weapon and must reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which it is currently blocking, prompting a rise in world oil prices.
Trump and Xi. Beijing has said very
On Taiwan,
devices, along with new.
When a reporter suggested that a 20-year suspension of Iran's nuclear program was not enough, he replied, 20 years is enough, but the level of guarantee from them, in other words, it's got to be a real 20 years. He did no elaborate. U.S. media reported in April that during a session of talks in the Pakistani capital, Islamabad, Vice President J.D. Vance had responded to an Iranian proposal to cease enrichment for 5 years by insisting on a minimum of 20 years.
Which is approximately 500.
Donald Trump returned.
Unacceptable sentence.
However, this is thought to be the first time Trump himself has mentioned a 20-year timeframe. In his first term as president, he withdrew from a 2015 nuclear agreement reached with Iran by the Obama administration. One of the reasons given was opposition to so-called sunset clauses that would have allowed some restrictions on Iran to expire over time. Israel has so far not reacted to Trump's remarks.
In other words, it's got to be
Presidents Trump and Xi. Beijing has said very.
standing with both.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium must be taken out before the war against Iran can be considered over. Netanyahu vehemently opposed the 2015 nuclear deal, partly on the grounds that the sunset clauses would leave open the possibility of Iran obtaining nuclear weapons and continuing to present a grave threat to Israel. That's what we can say. Don't forget to support our channel by liking, commenting, sharing and subscribing. We thank you all for your support.
Which is approximately 500.
Donald Trump returned.